Welcome to the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast with Russo and Jordy.
Welcome into the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast. This is our fantasy football show. We also run prop play videos. We already have one out for tonight's game on September 19th for Thursday Night Football, the Jets versus the Patriots. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, and we're going to break down tonight's game, the beginning of week 3. I'm in really good spirits. It's just so good to have football back in full swing.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to do a preview of tonight's game and kind of break that down. And we're also going to go over our starts of the week for fantasy football. Before we do, we just want to talk about our partners at Underdog, who just continue to run specials every single day. They actually, I should get it to you. They actually just sent me a calendar. They're dropping specials all week in week 3.
Okay.
Still, originally we were, kind of under the impression that they're going to run some specials up to the beginning of the season and throughout like the first week. And here we are in week 3, and they have another calendar just full of like special plays and boosts and, all that. So if you haven't signed up for Underdog Pick'em or Pick'em Champions, whatever's available in your state, definitely take advantage of this offer. They're going to give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you sign up and make your first deposit. And they're going to give you a free pick on top of all the free picks on the board. They've done amazing upgrades to the platform. It's been my number one platform at this point with the alt lines, which Jordy and I are really big on, but Underdog has crazy alt lines now. So I'm still trying to, I haven't done enough research on figuring out how to do it on the desktop because I'm just always on my mobile, but I know on mobile, like every play, there's all sorts of alt lines and they get wild, like crazier than I've seen anywhere else. I'm talking like, I've talked about it a bunch, but in that last Falcons game, I took a Ray McLeod pick over 79.5 yards, which is a lot, but I could see him doing it, and he had an opportunity to, and Kirk Cousins missed him. But that paid 9.2x just for that one play.
That's crazy.
So, I've been making slips. I've been regularly making 6-man slips at 175x that are flexed. It's just been absolutely crazy.
I did a little diving into that, and I don't think there's any way to use alt lines unless you're on mobile. The only way I've seen to do it on the desktop is if you download the app through like an app store on your computer. So
okay, cool, good to know. I didn't even know they had an app for desktop, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so you can use code Backdoor and get that $1,000, up to $1,000 in bonus cash and the free pick. You can also just go through the link. The link, I don't think even prompts you for a code, but if it does, just make sure you use code Backdoor, and they will give you the full hookup over there. All right, let's talk a little bit about tonight's game. Okay, so let's break down tonight's game. We've got the Patriots versus the Jets. And the closer we get to this, I think I've just still got that like football excitement. Obviously, it's only week 3. Of course, the excitement's still there. But I'm really excited for this game tonight. Oh, yeah. When we put out our picks last night, there was I think it was like, I could be wrong, but I think it was a 36.5 over under. It's not crazy, but they bumped that up to a 38.5. So maybe that's what it was. I might be thinking of the Steelers game from Sunday or the last Steelers game. But so not a crazy high over under, but there's a lot of specific pieces we're excited about for fantasy and for props and whatnot. But the Jets are favored by 6.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think this game could go either way.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I think
every game can, but
yeah, I think it all depends on who controls the clock better with their run game, honestly. I think is what it's going to come down to. Like, we'll see, but I think if they get Ramondre off to a hot start and he's just, churning the ball, I don't think they're going to lose that momentum. He's just playing really well right now, and their O-line looks pretty decent. But, the Jets, they also look pretty solid. So, I don't know. I think it's just going to depend what run game gets going faster.
Yeah, and this, this could definitely turn into one of those like really low scoring, like slow moving games. I know the Jets are the slowest team in the league for pace of play, and I think the Patriots are like the 3rd slowest. So two pretty solid defenses. Although the Jets are actually missing quite a bit on defense.
Yeah, I don't think they have Hassan Reddick back yet.
No Hassan, and I'm forgetting his name right now. Is it Mosley or Moses?
Yeah, Mosley.
Yeah, I think he had a last minute situation going on. I think he might be out tonight as well.
Okay.
So a little bit of a banged up defense. So that could actually open things up for the Patriots a little bit. When we get to it, spoiler alert, Hunter Henry is my tight end start of the week. I think Hunter Henry is a killer play tonight. And I'll break down why. But as far as fantasy goes, obviously the usual suspects, Bijan, Ramondre, they should be solid starts tonight. Not really a whole lot to be too excited about. Garrett Wilson has definitely been underperforming for where we drafted him as a fantasy community. So hopefully they can kind of figure that out and get him going a little bit. I know he's gotten like a decent amount of the target share, but it just he hasn't looked in that elite tier. And you and I thought he was going to have this breakout season.
I expected way more out of their passing offense entirely. Like I drafted Malachi Corley in our rookie draft, and I was hearing great things in camp about him, and I was hearing great things about Mike Williams, and then it's just looked like a ghost town. You know, it's been like Garrett Wilson and then whoever can pick up the crumbs, and it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's been wild. I also heard a stat today. I think it's like Aaron Rodgers has been passing two running backs like almost 30% of the time, which is great if you're a Breece Hall owner, you know.
Yeah, but you have like 8 targets in the last game.
Yeah, and I mean he's an incredible pass catcher, so that makes sense. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers has just been absolutely heavily targeting his running backs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, not like too much to go over. This is just like a single game slate, so we can break into our starts of the week.
Let's do it.
I'll just go ahead and go first with my tight end, since I already told you guys it was going to be Hunter Henry. This was actually one of my picks for the picks video too. If you guys want to check that out, that'll be attached at the end of this video. But I love what we saw from Hunter Henry. We had an episode a few weeks before the season started about veterans to not give up on, like guys that we're high on, and specifically for Dynasty. And Hunter Henry was one of my guys because this is like a perfect situation for him with their wide receivers not really getting targeted much at all. I think Osborne is basically their wide receiver 1 right now, and he's if you just go and look where he's ranked, he's not producing much at all. It's just been all about Hunter Henry. You know, he had his breakout last week, going for 109 yards. And I think he had 12 targets for 8 receptions. Yeah, 12 targets, 8 receptions. And he looked really good too. And he's not that old. He's only, like 29 years old. Let me pull him up here. Yeah, 29 years old, 6'5", 249 pounds, looking athletic. He's the veteran on the team. You know, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's like Pop Douglas is he's the longest rostered Patriot wide receiver at this point, and he's in his second year. So Hunter has had no competition. I know he had a slow week, week 1, still saw 83% of snaps, just wasn't heavily utilized. And then week 2 against the Seahawks, 84% of snaps, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 109 yards. So he delivered heavily for fantasy, even without scoring any touchdowns. I like him tonight in this matchup. The Jets are actually 21st in the league in receptions allowed to tight ends, and then for receiving yards, they're 17th in receiving yards allowed. I'm sure the touchdowns are probably a little bit better. Yeah, so he might not get in the end zone again tonight. They're number 1 in touchdowns against by tight ends, but that's also a little bit skewed because it's only 2 weeks in, and so you got to kind of target and see like who those tight ends were. But yeah, I love Hunter Henry in this. And the other thing is like with the defense a little bit banged up, it's like Sauce Gardner. I don't think that they're going to like assign him to be on a tight end. So I feel really good about Hunter Henry in this, and especially full point PPR. But if I were to project, I think he's at least good for 6 receptions tonight. And that might be, I don't know, that might sound high to some people because I know like his receptions aren't that high, and they're favoring his receptions to go under on a lot of these sports book. It's at like 3.5, which is crazy to me, coming off 12 targets. So I love this situation. That's going to be my tight end start of the week. What do you got, Jordy?
Yeah, so this one might be a little bit obvious, but we're just trying to give you who we think are the best players to start. And obviously, I think you have to go with Brock Bowers, in my opinion. I think Brock Bowers is just playing lights out, and he's being targeted. I think he's the most targeted player on the team right now. So right behind Davante Adams, they're actually tied at 18 targets. So they're both getting 25% of the target share, which if you're a tight end, if that's what you want out of a tight end, man, that is the most value you can ask for. That is amazing value. So, I mean, him and Davante Adams, like they're really starting to, that offense kind of looks like it's clicking now. Gardner Minshew slinging the ball. It's looking a little bit more confident. The defense is backing him up and he knows that. So it looks great. They're going against Carolina this week. I think this matchup is just too like sweet, like this is the straight up candy shop matchup you want. 25th in receiving yards allowed to tight ends, giving up 52 a game. This dude is grabbing insane amounts of receptions. I mean, last week he went 9 for 9, 9 targets, 9 receptions. They are actually 32nd in touchdowns allowed to tight ends. So if there's ever a week where Brock Bowers is going to give you insane double-digit value, I mean, he's doing that anyway, but this week he really has the chance to pop off. So in my opinion, Brock Bowers is a must start. Obviously, if you have him, you already know that. But the rookie is absolutely playing out of his mind. I think he's even setting, like through the first 2 games, I think he set some sort of record. They were saying something about it on Red Zone that like he's been the most targeted rookie tight end like ever or something like that. So it looks really good for Brock Bowers right now. Through the first 2 weeks, he's getting 68% of the snap share. And both weeks, 8 targets, 6 receptions. Week 1 for 58 yards. Week 2, 9 for 9 for 98 yards. No touchdowns, but I think he's going to start getting that figured out. I think they're going to get him more involved in the red zone. Obviously, it's hard when you have Davante Adams. He's just such a dominant red zone target. But I think this kid's really going to start pulling down some touchdowns here. And if he does, I mean, his games, he had 18.8 fantasy points last week in full PPR. Put a touchdown in there, and the dude's at 24 fantasy points. Like it's insane. So definitely loving what I'm seeing from Brock Bowers right now. So he's gonna be my tight end start of the week for sure. And that game's over under, by the way, is a 40 point over under, with the Raiders favored by just 5. Maybe Andy Dalton figures that out, but just 5 is crazy.
Yeah, it is. But I'm not going to be shocked if all of a sudden they're not going to look like world beaters, but they should look significantly better with Andy Dalton.
I'm excited about my Deontay Johnson now that I'm like, okay, Andy Dalton's in there. Like, I feel really, really bad for Bryce Young, but honestly, like, the kid got drafted to a horrible situation, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, they are. I don't want to be a part of that front of house with the amount of stuff they gave up for that first round pick.
They don't even have a second round pick this year.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's a rough situation, and they just have to watch CJ Stroud ball out every week, like looking generational. But speaking of Gardner Minshew, he's number 1 in the league in completions. Right now,
he's a slinger, dude. That's what I was trying to tell my brother. Like, you bailed at the wrong time, bro.
Yeah,
I love Gardner, dude. When he played with the Eagles, I loved it. I hate the Eagles, but I was like, man, I love seeing Gardner Minshew do well. He's like one of my favorite quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's got that like Baker vibe where you just love to see him succeed and just bounce around to these different teams. But let's jump into wide receivers next.
All right, go.
So Jameson Williams is going to be my wide receiver start of the week. Obviously, he's been off to a hot start, but I don't think this is going anywhere. I think that he is like, this is for real. This has been the coach speak all off season. if you took a shot on him, you are thrilled. And I think he could end the year top 10 personally. He's got a great matchup against the Cardinals. This is the highest over under on the week. What is it? 51.5, I think. Yeah, 51.5 over under. Lions favored by 3. That's so cute. My Cardinals are gonna win this game. I just know it. That's not saying too much, man. But yeah, so Jameson Williams, this is going to be a high scoring game, and the Lions are probably the best running offense, not like the way it runs, but like actual rushing. They're probably the best, or probably the number one in the league as far as like the way they scheme things up. And I'm still just that doesn't deter me from. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm kind of just getting a little word salady here, but my point is this is going to be a high scoring game. There will be plenty of rushing going on for David Montgomery and Gibbs, but this offense looks like it's kind of running through Jameson Williams now. And I hate to say it, but everyone who took Sam Laporta, I don't think it's going to get much better. I think Sam Laporta is going to have some spike weeks, but I think that his role, the way we saw last year, is gone personally, because all of the targets that he was eating on are now Jameson Williams. And why would you pass the ball to Laporta when you can pass it to this, like, looking like an elite, what does he run, like a 4.35 or something like that? Like,
yeah, I think it's like one of the like top 10 fastest players ever. So
yeah, it looks like he's here to stay. And, coming into this year, we were kind of down on Jameson Williams because we just couldn't see where he would fit into this offense. But now we know, after watching last week, that he can coexist with Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown ended up having a good week. So that's encouraging for the St. Brown owners. But I still think that, like, Jameson Williams has arrived, and it's going to affect, like, still people who drafted Amon-Ra. Like, I don't think you're going to get what you got last year. He went high. Laporta was basically the number one tight end, drafted super early. So I'm not trying to bum you guys out if you're Laporta owners. He's still solid. Maybe they'll figure something out, but they've got like so many mouths to feed now. They're like we said, they're like the number one rushing team in the league, and they've got what looks like the new number one wide receiver there, Jameson Williams. This matchup should be juicy. Like, the Cardinals have been kind of over delivering on defense, but they're still, like, we'll see how they match up against, like the Bills were able to figure it out in the second half in week 1. And then you've got the Rams, who are just looking like an absolute dumpster fire right now. Terrible O-line. So there's like a lot of reasons why the Cardinals just torched them last week. So this will be a lot more competitive of a game. And the Cardinals are still ranked 23rd in wide receivers, against wide receivers receiving yards. So I think he's going to do well. Let's see, receptions wise. Yeah, he's got back-to-back weeks. He's been posting these crazy numbers on five catches each week. See, like, week 1, 85% of snaps, 9 targets, 5 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Week 2, 92% of the snap share. So this guy's never coming off the field. 11 targets, 5 receptions, 79 yards, no touchdowns. So a little bit lower of a game, but that was also against Tampa Bay. So I think this game's going to be absolute fireworks. I can't wait to get just like a bunch of pieces for like daily fantasy in this game. But yeah, I think he's here to stay, and the Cardinals will be able to keep up. Even if they don't win the game, they'll definitely be able to keep up and keep this game competitive. And the Cardinals might even get off to like a little early lead. I know that sounds a little crazy because people aren't believers like I am, but I've just been diehard Arizona, and I can tell you that Arizona's never looked like we haven't looked like this in a long time, since like the Carson Palmer days, in my opinion, because the offense is actually clicking. So I think this is going to hit its over personally, or get really close. I think 51.5 is like a reasonable line on this game. So I'm going to be taking Jameson Williams in a lot of daily fantasy as well. All right, who you got for wide receivers, bro?
Yeah, I totally agree with JMO, dude. Like, I've been a huge fan of that kid for a while, ever since he was in Alabama. He started out in Ohio State. And that was like when he got put on my radar, and then he transferred to Alabama. And I tried to trade Bobby so many times in the offseason for him, so many different trades. I even offered him a first and a player, and he wouldn't take it. And he knew as well as I did that JMO was going to be insanely like an insane weapon. So shout out to him for riding that out in Dynasty. But for me, for my wide receiver, I'm going with Brandon Aiyuk. Now, I know this one might seem obvious, but for me, it actually was not. If you're in a situation like me, like in my Dynasty team, I was actually making a huge mistake week to week. Luckily, it didn't cost me. I still got the win. I'm 2-0, but I was in a situation where I have Nico Collins, I have CeeDee Lamb, obviously, who I'm going to start every single week, but I also have Mike Evans. So I was in a weird situation where I was sitting Nico because I had a lot of faith with Brandon's contract. I know Nico got a bag too, but I was, I had a little bit of faith here that, okay, maybe Nico is going to go off and be like the main targeted player. It was very obvious that that wasn't the case with Deebo Samuel being there. Deebo was just getting all of the work. But now I'm in a situation where I think I'm going to start CD Nico, and I'm going to flex Aiyuk this week because I do think that he is probably my favorite start of the week. Deebo Samuel is now hurt, so if there's ever a time for Brandon Aiyuk to just get all of that passing work and go crazy on the snap share, it is going to be this week. I think it's going to look a lot better. I mean, let me just pull something up really quickly. So week 1, he had 60% of the snap share. He only had 28 yards receiving. He dropped a touchdown in week 1 against the Jets, or it would have looked a little bit better. But week 2, 87% of the snap share, 5 targets, 4 receptions for only 43 yards. That ain't cutting it, for a guy who, you're drafting that high. I took him 2 years ago in Dynasty, so I've held on to him, obviously. But, for where he's being drafted at, he's kind of not paying that off right now. But now I think he's really going to get involved. And I think this is kind of going to kickstart his year in the right direction, because last year, the dude had an insane year last year. He had he ended the 14th overall in full PPR. He had 105 targets for 75 receptions and 1,300 yards for 7 touchdowns. So he was making a lot out of kind of like, I'm not going to say nothing, but a smaller amount of snaps. So I think now is the time for him, and I think he's going to have a great week. His matchup is looking pretty solid. He's going, they're playing at Los Angeles against the Rams. The Rams passing defense looks horrible. I know week 1, it was kind of fool's gold with the Rams. Everyone was like, okay, the Rams defense doesn't look as bad as everyone thinks. Week 2, the Cardinals go and absolutely let the midget light them up. So it's just, I think obviously Kyler Murray looks fantastic. Marvin Harrison is insane. I think to me he looks like Jared Gordon when he first came into the league, like that type of explosive player where it's just like record setting type player. So I can't wait to see more of that. I think Marvin Harrison, I'm an Ohio State fan, so seeing him thrive is awesome, especially in Arizona where I grew up. It's a really cool story. But so anyway, getting back to Brandon Aiyuk here, he's gonna be my start of the week. Great matchup, great situation for him. Him and Juwan Jennings, I think, are going to be obviously the main targets. I think George Kittle's going to get more work too. I think Jordan Mason's probably going to get a lot more touches if that's even possible. But I think Aiyuk is going to be the wide receiver 1 for now until Deebo gets back. And who knows how long that Deebo injury lingers on. But I'm excited as a shareholder of Aiyuk, and I'm definitely going to be starting him for this week. So that's going to be my start of the week.
Cool. Yeah. And even with some of these guys, it's like, it's not a question of like start sit. Like this isn't a start sit show. It's just our starts of the week where we're looking through players that have like significant situations on the week, whether it be matchups or injuries.
Yeah, I was just using my situation as an example because
I'm just letting them know.
No, for sure.
But cool. Yeah. And that over under at 44.5, 49ers favored by 7. That's kind of crazy to me.
After last week, I don't know.
I don't think the Rams are going to be able to keep this close.
Yeah.
But
we didn't think Minnesota was going to cook them either, though. So who knows?
Well, we didn't think they were going to win that game, but Minnesota's defense has looked crazy good compared to what they were being projected at. And Minnesota's offense looked really good in week 1 as well. Sure. But I did not expect them to win that game. which was, yeah. And I thought it'd be more challenging than it was. Like, it looked like Minnesota was kind of controlling that game, and their defensive scheming just had Brock Purdy he didn't know what to do. So
Right.
that this is going to be the 49ers bounce back week. That'll bring us into running backs. I'm taking Jordan Mason. Obviously, this is not someone you're going to sit, but as far as matchups go and situations go, for a lot of the same reasons that he likes Aiyuk, I think that the 49ers are going to control this game, and they're going to try to run the clock. So Jordan Mason is going to get a ton of touches, a ton of carries. And we have no Debo, which we saw in week 2. Debo didn't really snake that many carries from him. I think he only rushed the ball twice. But in some of those important looks, like, red zone looks, sometimes they just like scheme up a little something for Debo. That's not going to be an option this week. And the Rams are just kind of in shambles at the moment. The 49ers defense is just going to eat. That offensive line is just so bad. And so I think that the 49ers are going to be able to control this. We have back-to-back weeks of Jordan Mason getting 81% of the snap share. First week, 28 attempts, 147 yards. Even last week against Minnesota, he still ran the ball 20 times. So 20 for 100 yards. Touchdowns in each week. This is an obvious start, but I think especially with the news of Debo and this situation with the Rams being in such a bad situation, who knows? Maybe I'm counting Sean McVay and his creativity out a little too early. Maybe they can keep this close, but I'm not counting on it personally with what I saw the Cardinals do to them. So I think that the 49ers will be able to do a lot better than a 7-point spread. Jordan Mason hasn't really been that involved in the passing game, so he's not like, a 1-for-1 replacement for Christian McCaffrey, but they don't need him to do that. And that being said, that kind of helps the whole narrative with Aiyuk a little bit. If it was McCaffrey and you had this kind of a matchup, I would be like, okay, like, McCaffrey's going to see a lot of those targets, but they're not targeting Jordan Mason the same way, but he's just running like an absolute monster. So I love him for a start this week. And I'm going to restart
All right. So for my start of the week, I'm going to be going with Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard's looked pretty good, as a Cowboy fan. I didn't really know how this would look with him going to Tennessee. I knew he'd have plenty of opportunities, but my consensus was that Tajay Spears was going to be the number one. I knew it would be like a committee, but I thought that Tajay would out-snap him. I thought he would get like the 60% of the share, but actually Tony Pollard got 70% of the snaps last week, so he's actually doing really solid. Now Tajay Spears is dealing with an injury. They say he's going to be good to go in the next game, but they're saying that he might be on a even more limited snap count. So I think Tony Pollard is going to get 70% of the snaps again. So, I mean, what does 70% of the snaps look like in this offense? Tony Pollard had 17 rushing attempts last week for 62 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but he also had 6 targets for 5 receptions for 40 yards. So, I mean, that is insanely good value. And he's going up against Green Bay, whose rushing defense does not look great. They're going to be in Tennessee. Will Levis is just not making good decisions at all. So I think it's one of those things where they're just like, all right, we're going to put the ball in the hands of our running backs and try to make it work on the ground before we have to make Will Levis do anything. I mean, the dude, there's a hilarious screenshot I've been sending around everywhere where Will Levis is like literally in the air and he's throwing the football like point blank to Tajay Spears, which ended up being a fumble. But it's looked kind of rough for the Tennessee Titans. Like, you can see flashes, like their defense kind of holds true sometimes, and then you can see flashes of the offense kind of clicking. I think Chigakonkwo is a lot better than people think. I just think their quarterback situation is not great. Me and Russo were kind of high on Will Levis, which is kind of disappointing because we thought he would do well, but the dude is just making all the wrong moves. I mean, he's really making even the head coach is just absolutely trashing him week to week in these interviews, which is kind of sad. But I think Tony Pollard's in a great situation. I think they have to run the ball. I think they have to get their ground game going before they can even think about getting the ball in the hands of Will Levis. So I think we'll see Tony Pollard maybe get 20 rushing attempts if they get the game script going right. I think they'll probably lose this game, but I think if they go down, they're still going to give him the ball and they're still going to target him as well. So if you're in a full PPR league, I think the targets and the receptions are great for him right now. Obviously, Tajay's kind of banged up, so the game script for him is just really good right now. If we look at the over/under on this game, we've got an over/under of 38 with the Titans actually favored by 2.5. It's probably because Jordan Love is maybe not going to be back yet. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't really checked up on that. If Jordan Love is back, I don't think there's ever a chance they lead in this game by 2.5. But if it's Malik Willis, I can see a world where they control the clock with their running game and they keep it really close through the entire game. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Maybe not. Both of their defenses look kind of shaky. So, the Tennessee Titans are minus 135 to win this game. We'll see. But yeah, I think it's a great situation for Pollard. So he's going to be my running back start of the week. Maybe if you're in a deep league, you flex him, or if you're in a deep league, maybe he's your running back 2 or 1. You never know what the situation is with you guys. But I love Tony Pollard this week. I think he's a great start. So I'm going to be going with him this week.
Yeah, and on the Will Levis topic, we kind of feel like he's not as bad as he looks. I'm trying my best to defend him a little bit, but it's just really poor decision making.
Yeah.
And Brian Callahan even let him know. I saw something where he was letting him know that it's okay if you throw an interception, but these types of turnovers are not okay.
He's got to stop with the diving flicks of the wrist, like to the sideline. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it looks crazy.
And his whole demeanor, he looks
rattled,
chaotic.
Yeah,
he looks like a nervous wreck out there. He looks like his job is on the line. I think he can feel it. So, but Pollard has just given awesome output. Like even with solid snap share with when you consider the situation with Spears, but I mean 16 rush attempts and 4 targets in week 1, and 17 rush attempts and 6 targets in week 2. I think it's solid. And yeah, Jordan Love they're kind of still saying that he has a chance to play kind of like last week, but most people, all the analysts are kind of like, he's probably not playing this week. So it's probably going to be Malik Willis.
Enjoy sports betting and daily fantasy? Well, Daily Grind is here to help you beat the books. They make premium DFS tools that do all the work for you, comparing lines across just about every platform, looking for discrepancies for you to take advantage of. Start off your research with their DFS Optimizer, a tool that finds all the best plays and rates them with their odds to hit indicator. Or if you'd rather have them make your entire slip for you, they have you covered with their AI slip generator. They'll even notify you when a new slip is available. Go to dgfantasy.com and use code Backdoor. They will give you 25% off your first subscription all the way up to a year if you want. That's dgfantasy.com, code Backdoor.
All right, so my quarterback start of the week is going to be Kyler Murray. I am super excited for this game. Like I mentioned earlier, highest over/under on the week, 51.5, and the Lions are favored by 3. I'm a Cardinals fan, so I'm biased, but I think that the Cardinals are going to win this game. The matchup is not actually that bad. The Lions are 21st in the league in passing yards allowed. As far as touchdowns go, they're like a little bit tighter, 12th in passing touchdowns against. And then as far as rushing goes, I think they're pretty solid. 4th overall and 11th in rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks. Granted, they're not getting rushing quarterbacks like Kyler every week. And we saw what Kyler was able to do when he was evading those defenders with the Rams. And then just, like when you're buying that much time, you're giving your wide receivers time to get open. Then he, is catching guys in the end zone. But I really like what Drew Petzing has been doing as far as the overall offensive coordinating. He's up there. Like, I think he's like top 5 in the league right now as far as offensive coordinators go. He's been doing a lot of this scheming with like extra tight ends to get Marvin Harrison Jr. open. And then that also still provides extra blocking for James Conner. So there's just a lot on the offense that teams have to pay attention to. But Kyler has been, he's been running the ball well back-to-back weeks to start the season. First week, he went for 57 rushing yards. Second week, he went for 59. And he's doing this on like 5 attempts. So he's really showing, I mean, honestly, the guy you would kind of compare him to size-wise is Bryce Young. So it really puts into perspective how crazy what Kyler's actually doing out there at his size. And coming off of a week where he had perfect passer rating, I've always thought Kyler was an underrated passer, former baseball player. So he's got like a different sort of zip on his passes. And I'm just super happy to see him back with the right attitude, a much better coaching staff, and Drew Petzing is just dialing up this offense and they're clicking. So I think that they're going to take this game personally, but I love Kyler this week. Obviously for fantasy, if you have him, you're not going to bench him. Although we do have in our dynasty league, I'm pretty sure the Kyler owner has another quarterback he prefers that but I'm sure he'll be starting Kyler this week after the way Kyler's been playing. But yeah, that's my quarterback start of the week. Love this matchup. Like I said earlier, I want pieces of this game for daily fantasy on both sides of the ball. Well, not both sides of the ball, but from both teams. So I love Kyler this week. All right, who you got at quarterback, Jordy?
I'm gonna be going with Dereck Carr. I think Dereck Carr is, it's pretty obvious. 91 points in 2 weeks, or in 3 weeks, or whatever it is. Like his last 3 games, last 2 games. It's crazy. So this is actually a record-setting deal they've done. This is trailing the 09 Saints, who totaled 93 points after their first 2 games. Dereck Carr has now done that in this season. So, he actually tied the Saints record, which is crazy. So he's playing at an all-time great level right now. The whole team is just clicking. I mean, like, it looks pretty wild when you got, I'm totally drawing a blank right now. What's his name? Alvin Kamara playing as good as he is. I mean, the dude is, 29 years old. It's not even like that's very old for running backs, but, like Zeke's 28 years old. So it's like, it's crazy to see someone like Kamara just be so efficient at that age still. And we're seeing the same thing with Saquon Barkley, obviously, too. But I think Dereck Carr just looks amazing, man. Like, he's only getting 90% of the snap share because he keeps blowing these people out. He doesn't even have to play the whole game. 16 attempts on 11 completions for 243 yards is insane. Like 11 completions for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. In week 1, he had 23 attempts for 19 completions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. So the dude's playing great. I mean, that's kind of the thing with him. He has to throw touchdowns to really get that good fantasy score. So I think his team is totally set up for it, though. Alvin Kamara is one of the best pass catching running backs in the league, maybe the best pass catcher for a running back. And then you got Rashid Shaheed, who's just turned into a lethal, like Jameson Williams type weapon, where it's like he can get you, 100 to 0 in one play. And then Chris Olave is even, kind of getting his share now. He had 6 targets for 4 receptions and 81 yards in the last game. So the whole offense is clicking. I mean, it is just unbelievable what they are actually doing right now. And Dereck Carr is just on a revenge tour. So, they're going into Philly, who we just saw Kirk Cousins take advantage of them in the last little bit of the game. The Eagles with this rally defense, there's 2 people playing that type of defense right now. Obviously some people are, but not as well. But like the Steelers and the Eagles are the main ones who are playing this like rally to the ball defense, where they let you have everything underneath. The problem with that is if you have people like Dereck Carr and Kirk Cousins who can make these tight window throws and really eat up the middle of the field, you're kind of in doomsday because these guys are just lighting you up. So I like this matchup with them going into Philly. I think Dereck Carr can find the hole in defense. He just did it with my Cowboys. He lit them up, stole their money, and then took off back to Orlando, New Orleans. So the dude
to Orlando,
he went back to Orlando. He's already ready for the bowl, man. But yeah, Dereck Carr is playing unbelievable. So for me, he's my start of the week. As an old Saints fan, I'm super excited to see them doing well. So I'll definitely be tuning into this game. If we look at the over under on this game, let's see what we got here. We got
fireworks.
Yeah, 49.5 over under. The Saints favored by 2.5. I can see that close over under happening. I think Dereck Carr is going to be challenged a little bit more, just because I think the front 4 for Philly are really looking decent. They obviously didn't get any pressure on Kirk Cousins in that last drive of the game, but they were wore down from Bijan just running all over them the whole game. So I think Dereck Carr is going to have a really big game. I think we're probably going to see his best fantasy performance yet, because I think he's going to have to. So that's why I'm making him my start of the week. And he's out there on a lot of wires. He just got picked up in our Dynasty League on the wire. So he's probably available for a lot of you guys. Maybe not. Maybe some people finally paid him the respect. I think now people are probably definitely picking him up, but if he's available, I'd pick him up and start him if you guys are in like a situation where you had Tua, or whatever. I'm not obviously trying to make this a start sit, but I'm just making cases for him. He's my start of the week, so
he's a great start of the week.
Yeah,
great start of the week this week, and I think like you've got like mixed emotions across like analysts. Like they're like, Saints look really good. How long can this last? I'm sold on this.
Yeah,
like
me too.
I know it's only 2 weeks, but I think that they're gonna shock everybody and come out like, what are we gonna do if the Saints come out here and it's 42 to like 23?
I might rip down this Cowboys flag on my wall and put a Saints flag up.
I'm just saying, what kind of they could make a legit statement this week. And the Eagles struggled with the Falcons. Like like they left it that close. They made all sorts of mistakes at the end. They never, they're down AJ Brown right now. I think the Saints could come out here and just stomp the Eagles. And I'm sorry if you're an Eagles fan, but they didn't look they didn't look that good in this last game against the Falcons. And the Falcons have a pretty solid defense, but the Falcons kept it close the whole game, and then with a minute 30 left, ran the whole field. Like for the touchdown.
That was one of the best drives I've seen in a long time. Honestly, that was insane.
That was so exciting on such a boring game.
Yeah,
like at the end, all of a sudden on the edge of my seat, like I was completely convinced that game was over. I was like, man, another one of these primetime games, and then all of a sudden,
if I'm not mistaken, didn't the Eagles try to go for 2 in that game and fail?
I think so.
And then that actually led to them losing. So maybe you guys should start kicking the field goal, man, or the extra point.
I heard some analysts talking about that play where the Falcons intentionally went off sides.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we're not taking the penalty. Wouldn't that have given them a first down there?
Yeah. It would have given them the first down if they took, or it would have given them better field position if they said yes, and they would have, I can't remember how it was, but it was like they wanted them to say yes to it.
Yeah,
but,
and they turned it out. It was just a wild ending and super fun. But all that being said, the Saints just absolutely torched the Cowboys last week. I don't think that the Eagles have a better defense than the Cowboys, personally. And my gosh, Clint Kubiak, he's not the head coach, but they should give him coach of the year if he can keep this up all year.
Yeah, because I think he will be a head coach next year.
Yeah, man. I mean, unbelievable. So there's just the way he's got this offense clicking. There's too much for teams to try to focus on.
Yeah.
You've got burners on the outside. You've got all sorts of weapons everywhere. And then how do you not, like with the way Kamara is playing right now, averaging almost 5 yards a carry on the season, like how do you not, like I can't wait. And I'm sorry, but I hope this is just like a stomping.
I seen this super dope clip of Carr, and he was talking in that Cowboys game, and he was like, I want a shot, man, give me a shot. So they were like, he was talking about like throwing the ball, and he goes up to Rashid Shaheed. He said, just run as fast as you can, man. I'm going to hit you in space. And like just seeing that kind of confidence, and then it leading to this massive touchdown, like Rashid Shaheed is just running down the field, and he's like, I'm just going to hit you on a go route. And they connect for it. It's like their timing, everything is locked in with them. It's like Dereck Carr, dude's grabbing his junk and thrusting it towards my Cowboys, getting fined for it. So it's all well right now in New Orleans. I mean, I'm super happy for them as an organization, to like get it going again. I love Dereck Carr, so it looks awesome.
Yeah, very, very exciting. And I think it's just we were all so blindsided by it. Even if you were a Saints truther, you were not expecting 91 points through 2 weeks.
No way, man. That's crazy.
That's a game I can't wait to catch on Sunday. That's going to wrap it up, though, for us. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Definitely, if you have any fantasy questions, just drop us a comment, and we'll try to get back to you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We drop videos for every slate. Once basketball starts, we drop for our picks videos for every slate of that as well. So thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the game tonight, guys, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a comment. You can also find us on all platforms at Backdoor FS.